the secret of achieving customer excellence and customer loyalty, in my opinion, is pretty simple. It's not easy, but it's pretty simple. It's a decision that you make. This is an actual picture at a 4-star hotel that I checked into. And the first thing I see is an implicit accusation that I'm going to try to steal their $1 corkscrew. They haven't made the decision. Here's the decision. Are you going to put the customer at the center of your company, your department, even at the center of your web forms? I love this picture because they're asking for extra work. If you're having a problem, they want to hear about it. I also love this because when I was admiring this, someone with a desk job at Southwest, someone in a completely different department, came up to me to ask if I needed help. So they're really walking the walk. Are you going to put the customers at the center, or aren't you? The customers are at the center here at Apple, and it's early in my presentation, but I got to take a little diversion here to talk about the power of brand loyalty. So my son, my 6-year-old, or he's turning 7 right now, he goes to school where they don't have traditional chapel or anything like that, but they have what's called silent meeting, where the kids, if you can believe this, they're very little kids, once a week they sit together and they're quiet, and they only are supposed to stand up and say something if they are spiritually moved to do so. So to my surprise, I heard through the grapevine that not too long ago, he had stood up and said something. So I said, "Honey, what did you say?" And he very proudly told me. He said, "I said, the iPad 2 is available for purchase Thursday night at midnight." So there you go. That's the power of brand loyalty. Satisfactory service follows a predictable pattern. It has 3 steps or 3 building blocks, and a 4th one in case one of the first 3 go wrong, which unfortunately they will. Now the first 2, I don't want you guys to get hung up on either of those words. We're told ever since we're little kids, nobody's perfect. If you're from a religious family, nobody's perfect except for God. If you're from a secular family, nobody's perfect except for Toyota. As far as product, I don't think there's such thing as a pure product anymore. There may be, but it seems like everything that's sold these days is partly product with a little service built in, or it's service with a little product built in. I mean, hotels are famous for their service, but they need to be located in a particular place. And we were talking about the slippers here. That's product. So everything seems to be a mix of service and product these days. Caring delivery is very important, and timeliness has become a huge factor these days. And because 1, 2, and/or 3 will go wrong, you need the support of an effective problem resolution process. Now, I'd like to take those first 2 items together because one without the other is useless. This, by the way, is a real picture. I mean, those aren't giant women. That's a diminutive aircraft, but this is a real marketing picture. Well, you know what? They might be giant women because this is a picture from Icelandic Airways, but this is a real picture from an earlier era of air travel marketing, but it's not that different from how air travel is marketed these days. And I think that it's the most extreme example of how you need perfect product and caring delivery. What is the only thing that should matter in air travel? Thank you, safety. And yet, in 2010, there was not a single fatality in commercial jet travel in the United States, not a single one. And there was an article in the paper about that. I assure you it was nowhere near as big as the article about the flight attendant from JetBlue who, lost it and went down. It was nowhere near as big as even one of the thousands of articles about the baggage fees. It just was completely dwarfed by all the talk about customer service and customer frustration in air travel. And to me, safety is very, very important. I mean, I drive a Volvo with 28 and a half airbags, but it... You will, however, be late. You will, however, be perceived as less than caring, and you will have less than a perfect product or service. That is why you need an effective problem resolution process. You need to plan to have upset customers and figure out what to do about it. That's why you need the Italian mama. In fact, you need to become her. You need to channel her. The next time you have an upset customer, try to think of and try to become, to whatever extent you can, a stereotypical old world mother. Oh, my poor darling, look at what happened. Oh, you skinned your knee on the walkway, my little bambino. Do let me kiss your ouchie. This part I can't actually recommend. If you do that, it's on your own time. Any legal bills are on your own dime. But other than that, you know, let's go in and watch some TV. Here's some ice cream for you while I disinfect that awful wound. So you're giving the customer a little bit extra. You're not minimizing the problem. You're maybe even exaggerating it a little bit. You need employees who will feel invested, who will say, hey, I couldn't reach the toilet paper, and I don't think our customers are going to be able to either. Right, thank you. It's the otherwise handicapped accessible bathroom, except for that significant detail. I recommend what I call language engineering, recommending certain words and phrases and discouraging other words. Here are some examples of preferred and discouraged language. So these are all ones where there's certainly an alternative that works. And then there's some you just have to get out of people's repertoire. Like I said, you know, you're telling a customer they're not listening, or again, or one of my favorites, I'm not going to argue with you. If you say that to a customer, I would say you're pretty much arguing with them. And then this one, it's just a verbal tick, right? But what are you saying when you say to be honest with you? Like up to that point, were you lying to their face?